Final example, x squared minus 16y squared. So again, as soon as I see they're both squared, x squared, y squared, it's either ellipse or hyperbola. This time the signs don't match, which means it's a hyperbola. So again, everything equals 0, x and y both squared, opposite signs on those terms. You have a hyperbola each time. So hyperbola standard form we're looking for either x minus h over a squared or y minus k over b squared minus the other one equals 1. So I'm not going to write that up there. We just know what it's supposed to look like, so we want to create that structure. Getting the proper structure is very similar to the ellipse one. So example 6, example 8, the technique used is going to be pretty much the same. First thing I'm going to do is group my x's, group my y's, and move the constant to the other side. So do that first each time. Now notice the x squared's already ready to go. X squared is 1x squared, we're good to go there. No, nothing needs to be factored out of that one. So I'm just going to put a parentheses x squared minus 8x, leave myself a gap to allow myself to complete the square. The y squared, and with the hyperbola, you got to be careful of this.
It's plus 8x.
Is it plus 8? Oh, thank you. Plus 8x, plus 8x. Don't change signs as we go. Yeah. So don't do as I say, do as I say, not as I do. There we go. It should be plus 8x. And if I said minus, then don't do as I say or do. Just do what I'm supposed to do. All right.
Do the correct x.
X squared plus 8x gap. All right, now, what I want to be careful of here with the hyperbola is there's always a minus sign in front of one of those squared terms. So when you take that minus 16 out, you're going to get y squared, but you're going to get plus 4y equals negative 16. All right. The thing to think about here is these are the terms here that are supposed to be created by this structure here. Negative 16 times y squared makes negative. Negative 16 times positive 4y makes negative. So be careful that there's always a minus involved in hyperbola, and that non-squared object is always going to change signs. So if that said plus, this would say minus or vice versa. So in this case, minus goes to plus. Looking at the terms, half of 8 is 4, 4 squared is 16. Half of 4 is 2, 2 squared is 4. In reality, I added 16. In reality, I added negative 64. Be careful that we're multiplying this times this, signs are included. So adding a 4 in here is actually multiplying by adding a negative 64. Adding a 16 times the 1, because there's no number out there, it just makes the plus 16. All right, so altogether, negative and positive 16 cancel. So altogether, for the x's, I have x plus 4, the quantity squared, minus 16 parentheses, y plus 2, the quantity squared, is equal to negative 64. And finally, I can see now that if I divide everything by negative 64, so it equals 1, the negative 64 creates a different sign on things. So again, I can't make a decision up here what way it goes. I've got to make a decision down here once I get standard form. Dividing by negative 64 makes this one negative, this one positive. So I'm going to put this in front and that in back. So I'm going to get y plus 2 squared. And I want to reciprocate this thing, right? 16 over 64 reciprocates 64 sixteenths, which equals 4. I'm going to reciprocate that, which I don't have to. It's already to go. X plus 4, the quantity squared, over 64. Since there's already 1 in front of it, it's ready to go the way it is. But again, the minus sign I just took out in front instead of up underneath it. I got my hyperbola equation. I can see y is squared, which tells me it's up, down. I've got to find the center, 2 vertices, 2 focal points, and 2 asymptotes. The center, be careful with hyperbolas. The center, x first, y second. So I'm going to go negative 4, negative 2, and again you change the signs. Negative 4, negative 2, in that order. I'm going to be going up and down so I can see a is equal to 8, b is equal to 2, and c is going to equal the square root of 68. I don't know off the top of my head. Let's see, square root 68 comes out to 8.25. As far as what I need for information, I need B and C to tell me where points are, right? So I'm going to go up, or sorry, negative 4, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I'm going to go up 2 spaces and down 2 spaces to get to my vertices. I'm going to go up 8.25 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.25. And down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.25, about here. These are my focal points. Didn't give myself enough graph paper on this one, did I? ballparked it. And finally, the asymptotes, the slopes of the asymptotes, I'm going to put that here. Bm is equal to plus or minus b over a, which will be 2/8, also known as 1/4. So if I go with my center, go up 1/4 and down 1/4. Connect those dots with a dotted line. Like so. And then I just want to stay kind of within the asymptote, so it's going to kind of go like this. Alright, as far as everything I'm supposed to identify, the vertices or something, foci or something, moving up and down. So notice the x-coordinate, -4 comma something, -4 comma something, -4 comma something, and -4 comma something. We're just changing the y-coordinate. For vertices, I'm moving up and down b. -2 minus 2 is -4, -2 plus 2 is 0. For c, I'm moving up and down 8.24, was it? 8.24, so -2 minus 8.24 is -10.24, -2 plus 8.24 is positive 6.24. Just like that, I've got my 4 points, my center and my slopes of asymptotes, got my graph drawn, everything is as it should be. Right. So again, in the section that you're doing tonight, they're going to give you a bunch of problems that are conic section structures in general form. You make a correct decision as to what it is, and then graph it and find all the pertinent information for that type of graph based on what we've studied in all 3 sections.